Friends, on this Valentine's Day culture cruise, we're going to talk about sex. Let's first start with the spiritual aspects. So, one of my favorite scenes in the New Testament is Christ with Mary Magdalene, allegedly a prostitute, right? Christ loved her. Remember the scene where he says to the people wanting to stone her or whatever, let those of you without any sin cast the first stone. And then everyone backed off, right? And I mean, Christ, God, loved all of his creations, including the broken people of the world, presumably broken. No, this is how God made Mary Magdalene. And by the way, when I hear the word sin, I just replace it with broken. I don't believe in this concept of sin. I believe we're all imperfect, broken human beings. Okay, now that we have that covered, we're gonna. Okay, so here are my parents at our Notre Dame graduation, 1978. Now, my dad, a physician, mom, an RN, but never got a practice, right? Because she was raising all of us kids and all of our friends and blah, 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 blah. But my dad had thoughts about sexuality. And sometimes, or often, when we kids would get married, he would share some words of wisdom or pearls. And we kids thought, oh, God, Dad, too much information. Please, we'll figure it out on our own. But in retrospect, I have to respect what he tried because you go back 75 years, we had the Kinsey Institute from the University of Indiana teaching us about human sexuality and all of its manifestations. And then over 50 years ago, The Joy of Sex by a British author. And what I'm finding in last weekend's New York Times Magazine is a wonderful series of advice by this ethicist. And I've gotten to the point in my life where I can just hear the word of God in almost any author. And it's true, I do. So this starts out with this great essay by one woman, Joy of X, in an era plagued by sex negativity. Only one generation seems immune. Mine. Well, I disagree with her. I mean, many of the younger generations are not plagued by the negativity as much as we think. But this is just a wonderful series by Kwame Anthony Appiah, an ethicist. And let's just read this, and then I'll read some of the questions he addresses. People have wrestled with the ethics of erotic life since antiquity. Plato's Symposium, in which the most interesting minds in Athens get buzzed and hold forth, is filled with such musings. Among its offerings is an origin story about sex. Once we were whole beings with double sets of everything, complete in ourselves. Then Zeus, in a fit of pique, decided to split us into two, creating sex and every variety of lover we see today, searching for their soulmate. Small wonder we were left with questions about who does what with whom and whether they ought to. So this guy's a great writer. But just look at some of the questions he addresses. I have erectile dysfunction. Do I have to disclose this before sex? Great response. Is it okay that I'm withholding sex until my husband sorts out his invoices? I'm happily married. I just want to make it with another man before I die. Should my husband make amends for being a sugar daddy? I don't care if my lovers climax. Should I feel bad about that? My wife has a condition that will lead to dementia. When should we stop having sex? I'm HIV positive but undetectable. Do casual sex partners need to know? Does my wife need to know about my porn habit? My husband can't have sex. What are my options? I'm a bisexual woman with a male partner. Should we bring in a woman? Anyway, his response contains no judgment. It's all about educating about all these different manifestations of human sexuality. So I'm just impressed at how God can teach us through God's creations, human beings, about this very complex thing called sex which truly involves the three components of true love: joy, sacrifice, and forgiveness. So, worth reading.